Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. It is a great day. It is finally here where my longtime friend and colleague, Jamie Moraga, when she was on last a couple times talking about, I'm going to write a book on female leadership. And it is here. And Jamie is here. And is the book done?
Yes, it's crazy because I should be receiving the paperback version, maybe a copy today.
Wow.
Which I've never, it's surreal.
Yeah.
It's surreal that I'm actually going to be holding this book in my hand that I started a year ago.
So exciting. So how does it feel?
You know what? It's a mix of emotions because it's surreal, as I just said. This has been a childhood dream of mine to do this, bucket list item for sure. And so to have this be something that I have dreamed about since I was like 7 or 8 years old to actually come to fruition decades later is exciting. At the same time, I'm also nervous because I have shepherded this book and this idea and everything that's in it for a year. And there's a few people that have read it and edited it and reviewed it and everything, but to put it out into the world, it's almost like it's like here's my child. Mm-hmm. And I know that, I lose control. I'm releasing control of this product. And it's a mix of emotions, almost like a contradiction of being a female CEO in general, where you have the high highs and low lows. I have the absolute excitement, but I'm also so nervous about releasing this into the world.
So apropos, my co-host now in her third year, Kristen Fogel is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. They are in in the Liberty Station, 21 years now, 22 years?
We're in our 21st year, yeah.
The 21st year over here. So she's all geeked up because writing is, among other things, she's talented, actress, singer, everything in between, the most important mom and that aspect of it. So I know she was all excited to talk a little bit before we get into some of the questions that Kristen has, your background as a female CEO.
Yeah, so I started in the military and defense industry here in San Diego. It's hard to believe, and I can't believe I'm saying this, almost 20 years ago. So 2006.
You're too young for that.
I know. I was a baby when I started. And so it's crazy to think I've been in this industry for 20 years. So when I started, it was, there weren't a lot of female leaders. I mean, I remember going to SDMAC in 2006 and I'd look around and there really wasn't a lot of younger females, but also females who were CEOs and presidents of companies.
Exactly.
So I started off in the military and defense industry. I definitely naive in the whole process, but I think you have to be that way to be a female leader and a CEO, is just throw caution to the wind and just go for it sometimes. And so I had my company, I built it, grew it, and then eventually, 17 years in, sold it. In the in-between time, I was president of San Diego Military Advisory Council. I know the names have changed, and now it's more chairperson. But I chaired the board of directors for a year, and I also served on the local and national boards of National Defense Industrial Association, NDIA. So I've held many different leadership positions throughout my nearly 20 years of being in this industry. And after I sold my business, I helped transition the new leadership in, and then did some consulting work with small businesses under Franklin Revere.
Right. And so was this the inspiration for your book?
Yes. So it's interesting. So I always, it's a childhood dream, but I never knew what that was going to be. I never knew what the book was going to actually be. So I would say it was last summer. I was I was just bandying about ideas. And then it just started to come into I started envisioning the whole, what if I told the story of the female CEO journey from founding to exit and everything in between? But I don't necessarily just have my story in there and the lessons learned and the advice and the guidance, but I also find female CEOs from different industries, business sizes, backgrounds across the country, and tell their stories where they're at right now. So I have women who are currently in the founding years, in the middle years, which is 7 to 15. And then I have the experienced veteran years, which is 16 to 20 plus years. And then I have the retired, exit, and transition years. So this is when you are leaving the business or you are exiting the business. This is when you're looking back and what your legacy and what you've done over that entire journey. So I have my story as the through line, but then I also have women who are currently going through each phase of the journey right now, or at least it's a snapshot in time, because when I did the interviews, it was earlier this year. So things have changed and evolved as time goes on with some of these women. So
let's talk about your timeline. So from inception last year to now, that's a pretty quick turnaround time. So you just got to work. So tell me about that process. And then when the interviewing came in, and that's amazing, by the way.
Yes. And I think that's probably why I am recovering from walking pneumonia right now. So it was a very intense pace. So I have a friend who also published her book last summer. She connected me with her book coach. So I have a book coach that's based out of Los Angeles. And I got connected with her and a book writing community I started in October of last year. So a lot of it was learning the foundations of writing a book, because I've written things. I do the Econometer for the Union Tribune every week. I've written things for my business. And I think you think, writing a book's not that hard. It's
a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different genre.
Kristen,
different rules. So
my God, if I had known. So anyway, so I started learning the foundations of writing a book. So a lot of it was more of the education side for October through December, getting the idea, really kind of getting everything filtered through, how is this going to look? And then it was coming together with the story arc and the outline, and then the pro outline. And it was getting it to, okay, who am I going to interview? How is this going to work? How is this going to be formatted? So a lot of it was the groundwork, laying the groundwork, which was fast paced. And that's what the book coach was doing, was okay, here's where you are. And we had a few people in our cohort. So and it's all, fiction, nonfiction, and different subject matters, but we were all in the same boat together, which was fantastic, because having that built-in community, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And so I would say January is when I was going to launch doing the interviews. And then as soon as I was going to start doing the asks, the whole Palisades fire happened. And I was like, okay, this is not the most sensitive time for me to be asking people to interview for my book. So that delayed me for a few weeks until I felt like, okay, because some of the women were in Los Angeles and I just didn't want to sit there and be tone deaf on that. Yeah. So I would say I put the feelers out, and a lot of it was grassroots. It was me sending emails out to women I have never met in my life through LinkedIn, through Instagram. It was connecting with people who, like Drew, who helped introduce me to one of the women who's featured in the book, and a few other leaders in San Diego who made connections for me for doing interviews in the book, people I knew. I really had to call in all the cards, and I ended up getting, a number of women across the country, different industries, backgrounds, ages, everything, which is what I was looking for. And then it was the logistics of doing these interviews, because these women are busy.
Absolutely.
And I know that because I was there, and so it was the bobbing and the weaving and the quote unquote herding of cats, where you're like, okay. And I did everything over Zoom because I wanted to record the conversations because I wanted to make sure A, they were accurate, and B, I wanted to be able to be in the moment with them, because I didn't want to be just taking a bunch of notes and then I'm missing things. Yeah. I want to be able to have conversation, then get the transcript and then go from there. So, so I did those interviews. That took, because of all the logistics and everything, I would say that was most of February, and most of March, had a couple stragglers, early April, but then I had to do the cutoff because I had to start writing. Mm-hmm. I started writing a lot of my stuff through I would say March, I started. And what was interesting is I did really well in voice memos.
Yeah,
so a lot
I do the same thing.
Yeah, it's amazing because I thought I don't have the time to really sit down and spend hours just writing.
Yeah.
I would be in the car because I'm a mom, so I'm taking my son to fencing or school or all his activities, and I would take the time in between because I'd have 20-minute stretches, and I'd ask myself a question, and I'd just go and then send myself the transcript. And so that was really helpful on being able to populate my pro outline with those stories. So I was able to write a lot of my stuff while I was trying to integrate the female CEOs.
So the question I have then, and we're talking with Jamie Moraga, the CEO of Franklin Revere and an author of, the name of the book is?
Revered, The Power of Female Leadership.
Which we'll get to in a second because there's a personal connection.
There is a personal connection to the show.
There is a personal connection to the show. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media as you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County, from food insecurity to art to homelessness and everything in between. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. So this is in her wheelhouse. Have you written a book? I know you've done a lot of things.
We've been together for 3 years now.
Yep.
Yes, I have 4 writing / journaling type books. Yes.
Right. And but have you done one completely fiction, nonfiction, both?
They're writing / journaling type books.
Okay.
So so the first one will guide you through kind of the writing process if you're a younger person, and then the rest are kind of like journaling, writing your memoir type.
Memoirs,
sort of
your gig, is that right?
No, I mean it's nonfiction, but yeah.
So did your dad get a chance to review your work?
Okay, so I had actually 3 beta readers. One of them was my dad. He read my chapters because I thought that would be him reading the other chapters. I just didn't feel like that was the best use of his time. I wanted him to read mine because he was along the ride with me for most of it. And I wanted to make sure I was accurate in my memory and also accurate in how I depicted the military and defense side of things. And so, he read it, and it was cool because it's nerve-wracking having someone like that, your father read it, or even a family member, or just, and so I, you hand it over. I did it in paper. Here you go, and then and then
scurry away and hide.
I know, and then I would just try to pretend that I didn't do that, and so I didn't think about it. And then I got the email in the car. Like I was dry, I think I just picked up my son from something, and I was looking at the emails before I started driving, and I saw the email pop up and the feedback, and he liked it. And he said, "I'm very impressed." And I started to cry. And my son was like, "Oh my gosh, this is," and he's almost like in tears because I'm crying, because it just, you want that validation, and the also like, is this good? And have my father, who has very high standards and is super professional, and he would tell me honestly, he was like, "This is actually pretty impressive," and I think you depicted it accurately. So in the answer to your question, yes.
I think that's terrific. Where do you get the book?
The book is going to be on Amazon. So this Tuesday is pre-order for the ebook. And then the following Tuesday, October 21st, is when you can order the book and you get the paperback.
Right.
Which is so important. If you're a writer, go and do the pre-sale. It makes a big difference.
Yes, because I want to be a bestseller. And like Kristen's saying, you want to have everybody order not just the ebook, but the paperback as well, because those sales the algorithm loves that. They want to see you buying both, the paperback and the ebook. They want to see individual sales from lots of different people. And then they want to see 4 or 5-star reviews quickly, like 10 the first week and about 60 the first month. So please buy the ebook, and it's special limited prices. So it's reduced prices, 99 cents for the ebook, and then it'll be $9.99 for a limited time for the paperback. And then about 30 days, those prices will go up. So please buy the ebook and the paperback and do a 4 or 5-star review, and then share it with your friends and family or anybody you think would be interested in this book topic, because really this is word of mouth and just getting it out there. And if it would just be a huge dream of mine to be an Amazon bestseller. So,
well, listen, we're gonna help you do that, because on the 21st of October, we're doing a special Cloud Talks event at USD featuring Jamie Moraga, going to be interviewed by our longtime friend and colleague Jose Cruz. He is the CEO of the San Diego Council on Literacy, also the host of Gapminders. And so we're going to be talking about that, and then there'll be a panel discussion that follows. So my question is, for everyone who shows up at USD, 3:30, I believe, is a reception or so, and to 6 o'clock, and they can go on the website and find out from Cloudcast how to get there, and you can probably push it out from your website as well. Will they get a discount?
They'll get the discounted prices that are offered on Amazon, which is actually still pretty good.
Are you going to sign books?
I will sign books. I will. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, good. So people, bring your money, bring extra pens and all that business. And again, it's the 21st of October, 3:30 USD. It's at the Mother Rosalie Hill Hall. That's where the School of Leadership and Education Sciences is. And so that'll be a great event. When we come back from break, I want to talk a little bit more about the book, of course, in this area here. And what was some of the more difficult interviews you had? You don't have to mention the names of the people, and what were some of the easy ones on this? When we return with Jamie Moraga, she is the CEO and author of a soon-to-be released book, Revered, The Power of Female Leadership. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel of San Diego Writers, Inc., and we will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County, food insecurity, you name it. They're involved with art, the financial literacy, everything, and being joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc., joined by Jamie Moraga, CEO of Franklin Revere and author. What is the name of your book again? Nice and loud.
Yes, Revered, The Power of Female Leadership.
Exactly. And so this was a dream since you were 7 years old?
7, 8 years old. I was writing little short stories as a child on my little yellow notepad, and I don't even know if I have some of those things. I'd have to go dig some of those out. But it's just always been, I loved books, reading them, just everything about them. And I just knew one day I was going to write something.
So tell us about the journey to get the name of the book. There's a story behind this.
Yes. So with a personal tie to the show. So my company name is Franklin Revere, and it's a hybrid. I think I even talked about this in one of our previous episodes, is how I came up with the name. It's a combination of Benjamin Franklin and Paul Revere. I tried to do something patriotic and then also pick 2 people in history that had multifaceted careers and did many different things, because I feel like I do that myself. I've pivoted in a few different directions in my career, and I can see myself continuing to do that in the future. And so I thought that would be a cool combination of names, and plus it was available, and that's a huge which helps because, as you know, there's lots of trademarks and lots of domain names taken, and Secretary of State for California, and there really wasn't a ton of choices. So there it is. So then I remember I had been talking with Charles previously and banding about some, name ideas.
Charles is who?
Charles Parisi, the CEO of Cloudcast Media.
Okay.
And and he had mentioned Revered, and I thought, I really like that. I like that name and how it ties to Franklin Revere. And so that was actually last year. And so then I'd always had that in the back of my head. And so I always knew like the big thing, the trend right now is one name titles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you probably have seen that too. So I knew Revered was going to be like the big, bold one name title, but I needed how to quantify it. So then we were here in February filming our episode or recording our episode, and off camera, Charles at the end said, I have the name for you, and I actually wrote it down, and I have the piece of paper here. And I know we're not recording for YouTube, but it's here.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Oh, so here it is.
Right.
Yeah. So I wrote here, because here are my talking points. I'm super sophisticated with my handwritten talking points. But then I wrote it, and I kept it, and I had it actually, it was out. And as I started to write in February, you have to have the working title in the document. So this was the working title. And as it evolved, like in the summertime, I thought, all right, well, maybe I'll bandy about a few other different ideas. There's always going to be Revered, but maybe the subtitle will be something a little different. And then I always came back. I even was texting back and forth with Charles, so he's really kind to do that with me. And I beta tested it on a few other different people. And it was really that always, it was simple was better. Direct was better. Powerful was better. And I wanted to really show Revered, the power of female leadership. And then I add the tagline, the CEO journey from founding to exit and everything in between. Just to show, okay, it's not just about female leadership in general, it's about this specific journey. So that is the title, that is how the name came to be. But it also has a symbolism of what I wanted to do this book about, which is you always have women or leaders on pedestals, and you think that it's so easy, and you think that the journey, it's like an overnight success, but you only see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see everything that happens behind the scenes, the sacrifice, the challenges, the moments where you're going to potentially give up, and the self-doubt. And I wanted to show the power and paradox of that. And that name encapsulates that, because it's not just something, it's really, you only see so much, but this is also the behind the scenes stuff.
Right. So let me ask you that. We talked about this right before break. So talk about, you don't have to mention names. You can if you want. What were some of the cool people, person that you were in? They're all cool people in their own ways, of course. We all know that. But was there one that just really, I didn't know this person from Adam, which is probably most of them.
Yeah.
But this
from
one
Eve.
Really just...
Didn't know them from Eve because it's a female leadership.
That is Kristen Fogel. We are cutting her mic off effective immediately.
Want to make sure we're all clear about the topic of the book here.
So talk about someone that just really just energized you.
Yes. You know what? I was extremely lucky. I was extremely lucky with every single female leader I interviewed, whether they ended up in the book or not. At the end of every call, I was energized. I loved it. It really is a big piece of the puzzle. Like I see the book as a puzzle, and every woman played a part. And I could see, like, as soon as I'd get off, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to piece them here based on the conversation. And going back to your specific question is there a particular female CEO? They were all fantastic. But for me, I thought Star Edwards, who's the CEO of Bitch and Sauce, I really liked the fact that her whole thing was, I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable because being uncomfortable means growth. And I never thought about it in that way. Like even 20 years into my career, I never thought, I get uncomfortable and I'm just like, and at the time it's stressful and you're worried and you're like, why am I doing this to myself? But then at the same time, when she said that, I was like, yes, I get it. Being uncomfortable means you're pushing yourself, you're growing, you're changing, you're evolving. And you don't want to be the same person you were last year. Like I can sit there and honestly say, I'm a different person than I was this time last year before I started this book.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's so important for not just female CEOs, but leaders in general to just embrace that. And it's tough because uncomfortable is uncomfortable.
So let me ask you this. You feel you've changed. How about your husband? How about your son?
Oh, gosh. I think they're like between... I mean, they've seen the in-between.
Yes.
Talk about seeing like the bullet behind the scenes.
And I know your husband well. So.
Yes. I think there's moments of, why did she do this? Because there's, because it is like, it's a very emotional journey. It's also very stressful. And I think, I think my son's excited to see because he's seen the whole thing. And then I think Ben is also, he is probably going to be happy that this process is over in a way, but also I think he's also supportive and proud of what I've done and accomplished with this book as well. So
yeah, there's no question about it. And of course, your son has been a star on our Spotlight show. It's been featured on some, Cloudcast Kids shows, and we'll probably be taking over Cloudcast Media probably in the next couple of years or so at age 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
He'll be 13 then, is that about right?
No, in a few years, yes, because he's going to be 11 in December.
That's right.
But just as a side note, on my Instagram, Jack, when I have Jack in one of my posts, they're usually one of the top viewed. So I'm going to try to keep my son in some of my posts because he's definitely a magnet.
Well, listen, I want to shout out again. The name of the book is?
Revered, The Power of Female Leadership.
You're right. And so on October the 21st, it's a Tuesday, you'll get to meet Jamie as part of another edition of Cloud Talks. She'll be interviewed by Jose Cruz, CEO of the San Diego Council on Literacy, and the host of Gap Miners. 3:30 will be a little reception. There'll be a USD's Mother Rosalie Hill Hall. That's the School of Engineering, the School of Leadership and Ed Sciences. So come up, show up. She'll sign your book. It'll be a wonderful evening. And Jamie, it's always great to have you on the show. And we talked about this when you first came in, that you were going to go ahead and make sure that we were going to do this on Spotlight on the community, and we really appreciate that.
Yes, and I said I was going to do it, and you were literally my first interview. So doing this, I appreciate all of the support you've given me this year, as well as all the previous 20 years that we've known each other.
It's been a long time. Yeah. I appreciate it, and just honored to know you, and just wish you nothing but great success moving forward. And on the 21st, hope everybody shows up. And thanks so much, Jamie.
Thank you so much. And hopefully in the show notes, we can put like my social media and the link to my book and a link to Amazon for the book as well.
We will do that. Absolutely. Jamie Moraga, CEO and the author of Revered, The Power of Female Leadership. As always, thanks Kristen Fogel, Executive Director of San Diego Writers Inc. in her third year being a co-host of Spotlight on the Community, which I'm so grateful. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of the Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by the very cool folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things for people in San Diego County. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.